My name is Thomas Garrett. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I worked 3 jobs for 17 years to raise my daughter alone after her mother walked out. If there's one thing I believed in, it was this: when you give your heart to your child, you don't hold anything back, even if it means getting stabbed with the same heart you gave. You sold what? I was yelling so loud I swear the neighbor's dog stopped barking. I had just gotten out of bed, boxers on, gray t-shirt, phone clenched in my hand like it was the one to blame. You sold your mother's wedding ring? Your grandmother's pearls? Your car? What the hell is going on, Sophia? Her voice didn't shake. Not even a little. I'm getting married, Dad. Tomorrow. In Vegas. I nearly dropped the phone. But I didn't. I held it so tight my knuckles turned white. She kept going like she was telling me about the weather. We eloped. Sold everything. He said we don't need the past. We just need each other. You don't even know him. I snapped. You met this guy 3 months ago, and now you're calling me in the middle of the night to say you sold everything I ever gave you, everything your mother left behind, and you're marrying some guy with no job, no family, and no future? Are you out of your damn mind? That's when she said it. Words that burned hotter than anything I'd ever felt. You always wanted to control my life. This time, I'm choosing mine. And this time, I'm not asking for your permission. Goodbye, Dad. Click. She hung up. I stood there. In the middle of the kitchen. Sweating. Breathing like I'd just run a marathon through fire. My heart wasn't just racing, it was tearing. All I could see was her little face at 5 years old, hiding behind my leg in the courtroom as the judge said, full custody granted to the father. And now she was gone. Not dead. But gone. Like a stranger had picked her up and driven off with my soul. You think you raised them right. You think love is enough. That if you're always there packing lunches, staying up late, clapping at every school play, that they'll grow up to understand. To be grateful. But no. Sometimes, they grow up and sell the very life you broke your back to build. It wasn't about the money. God knows I would have written her a blank check if it meant she was safe. It was what she gave away, what it meant. Her mother's ring. My father's coin collection. The emergency fund I kept hidden in the attic insulation, she knew about that. She went looking for it. She didn't just leave. She planned it. She packed a betrayal into every bag. And now she was married to a man who didn't even have the courage to call me himself. But you know what hit the hardest? She didn't invite me. Not even a lie to soften the blow. Not a seat in the back. Not a "Dad, I hope someday you'll understand." No. Just a voicemail full of destruction and a tone that said, "This is your punishment for being a father who cared too much." I should have said I loved her. I should have said, "Please wait." But I couldn't. Because you don't beg someone who's walking away from everything you built with blood and tears. You let them walk. And you wait. You wait for the world to teach them what your arms never could. If you're a parent, or ever had one who fought for you, share this story. Let people know that love is not control, it's sacrifice. And when someone sacrifices everything for you, don't throw it away like it never mattered. Because one day, you might look back and realize you were holding a diamond and you traded it for dust. Keep watching. Because what happened next wasn't what she expected. I didn't sleep. Not a single second. By dawn, I had already packed a small duffel bag, thrown on the old brown leather jacket Sophia used to call my dad armor, and was on my laptop looking up every courthouse in Las Vegas. 3 clicks in, I found it: Elopement Express Chapel. Same-day weddings. Cash preferred. No ID check if one person claims to have lost theirs. Cheap. Fast. Disposable. Like my daughter's future. My hands were trembling on the keyboard. Not with fear, with rage. I wasn't going there to beg her to come back. I was going to look the man in the eye who made my daughter throw away her entire life, and make sure he understood exactly what the hell he'd just walked into. She was 23. Legally grown. But she was my 23. The one who sat on my shoulders at the county fair. The one I spoon-fed mashed potatoes during flu season. The one who called me her hero at age 10 when I showed up soaking wet to her school recital after my car broke down. And now she was trading that man, that history, for someone she met on Instagram? I booked the next flight out. Middle seat. Barely enough room to breathe. Didn't matter. My chest was already crushed from the inside. I didn't even tell my boss. I just left. Left a voicemail. Family emergency. Don't know when I'll be back. My mind kept replaying her last words. I sold everything. I'm getting married. Bye, Dad. Like I was just a chapter she'd closed. A file to delete. A voicemail to clear. But she forgot something. I don't fold. Not when it comes to blood. Not when it comes to her. When I landed in Vegas, it was already 102 degrees. The kind of heat that bakes your anger into something hard. Concrete hard. I took a cab to the Strip, told the driver the name of the chapel. He raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. Good. Because I wasn't in the mood to talk. I was in the mood to warn. When I stepped into the chapel, it was like walking into a nightmare covered in dollar store roses in desperation. There were plastic chairs, a cheap arch, and a woman with pink hair behind the desk chewing gum like she was punishing it. Name, she asked. Garrett. Thomas Garrett. I'm looking for my daughter, Sophia Garrett. She's marrying some idiot here today. The woman looked me up and down. She raised a slow eyebrow. Yeah, she was just here. Pretty girl. Big eyes. Left with a guy named Troy. Slick hair. Too much cologne. Troy, I muttered. So he had a name. She said they were going to get matching tattoos before the ceremony. There's a place down the block called Needle and Sin. Try there. I nodded once. Tight. My jaw felt like it was grinding stone. As I turned to go, she called out, "You okay, sir?" I stopped. Didn't turn. Just said, "No. But I will be." When I got to Needle and Sin, the bell above the door jingled like a joke. And there she was. Sophia. My daughter. The little girl I raised into a storm. Laughing. Laughing as a tattoo artist wiped her wrist with alcohol. Troy was next to her, arm around her waist, sunglasses on inside the shop, grinning like he just won a prize at a game he didn't even play fair. She saw me. Froze. Her smile collapsed in slow motion. Like she thought this moment would never come. Or like she thought I wouldn't have the guts to face her. She stood. Dad. I didn't let her finish. I looked straight at him. You must be Troy. He smirked like an idiot. You must be the overprotective dad. No, I said, stepping forward. I'm the man who worked 3 jobs to give her everything you just talked her into selling. He opened his mouth to say something else cocky, but I cut him off with my stare. You think this is cute? Selling off family heirlooms for a cheap hotel ring and a matching tattoo? You think love means let's run from everything that came before us? Let me tell you something, son, real men build. They don't convince a woman to burn her bridges just so she's got nowhere else to run but into your arms. Sophia snapped then. Stop it. Just stop it. This is my life. Why can't you ever let me make my own choices? I turned to her. And this time, my voice broke. Not with anger, with pain. Because your choices aren't just yours, Sophia. You're not a lone planet. You come from a whole galaxy of people who bled to make sure you could shine. She stared at me. No words. Troy tried to pull her back toward the chair. I saw it. That flicker in her eyes. The hesitation. The crack. And right then, I knew. This story wasn't over. He reached for her hand again. That's when I stepped between them. Not violently. Not loud. Just close enough that he had to back up. His cocky little smile faded. Sophia looked like she wanted the ground to open and swallow her whole. Good. Let her feel the heat she lit when she dropped that midnight bomb on me. You want to marry my daughter? I said, never blinking. Then let's talk like men. No sunglasses. No charm. Just truth. Troy raised both hands like he was above it all. Look, man. Don't call me man. I stepped closer. I'm not your friend. I'm her father. And I know your type. Smooth talker. Says all the right things. Makes her feel like the world's finally paying attention to her. But the second things get real, you're gonna disappear. Just like her mother. That hit her. I didn't mean it to. But it did. Her shoulders dropped like the weight of everything I didn't say finally landed on her. Troy shrugged. I think she's old enough to decide for herself. You act like she's still your little princess. Maybe she just wanted a man who lets her breathe. I almost laughed. Almost. You think being a man means letting her sell her past to chase your fantasy? No. A real man builds with her. Protects her. He doesn't let her pawn her life for your ego. He rolled his eyes. This is pathetic. I took a breath. Then I pulled out the envelope from my jacket. The one with the private investigator's report. Yeah. I'd hired one. 2 weeks ago, after I noticed Sophia acting strange, disappearing on weekends, smiling at her phone like it was her lifeline. I handed it to her. She looked confused. Then opened it. Photos. Receipts. Copies of arrest records. Her hand flew to her mouth. Troy's face dropped. And then I said the words that changed everything. His name isn't Troy. It's Kevin Troy Benson. He changed it legally after his third fraud charge. Last year, he got caught scamming 2 women out of 20 grand. One of them tried to press charges, but he fled the state. He targets women with inheritance, with savings, with pain. You think you're the first girl he told he loved more than life? You're number 6. Sophia looked like she couldn't breathe. She stepped back from him like he'd just grown fangs. You're lying, she whispered. Troy, or Kevin, stepped forward. Babe, I can explain. I cut him off with a shove. Nothing crazy. Just enough to move him back into reality. Asterisk, you don't touch her. You don't speak to her. You leave now, or I promise, I'll make your next court date your last day outside a cell. He tried to speak again, but she shook her head. No. No, don't, she said, her voice breaking. You said you loved me. You told me you'd protect me. And I protected your money, he snapped before catching himself. Too late. That was the nail in his own coffin. She turned and ran. Out of the shop. Into the sunlight. I followed her down the block, past the flashing billboards, the smell of heat and old alcohol. I caught up to her at the edge of the parking lot. She turned to me, face streaked with tears. Mascara running. Hands shaking. Why didn't you tell me earlier, she shouted. Why'd you let me get this far? I looked at her, my daughter, a woman now, but still the same little girl who once asked if I'd walk her down the aisle when she got married. I tried, I said quietly. But sometimes, love means letting someone fall just far enough to see the edge. Not to let them crash, but to help them understand. You were ready to jump. And I couldn't pull you back unless you felt the wind for yourself. She sank to the curb. And for the first time in 10 years, she cried in my arms. Not like a girl. Not like a woman, but like a soul who finally realized. I never stopped being the man who'd catch her. The flight home was quiet. She didn't say much. I didn't ask for more than she was ready to give. But she held my hand the entire time. That told me everything I needed to know. The storm had passed, but it had left wreckage behind. Not just in the things she sold, but in the beliefs she'd bought into. The idea that love had to hurt. That freedom meant burning the bridge behind you. That you had to choose between having a father or having a future. When we pulled into the driveway that night, she hesitated before opening the door. I didn't rush her. I knew what she was about to face. Her empty room. The photos she pawned. The laptop I saved for 2 years to afford. The closet where her mother's wedding dress used to hang gone now, sold for cash that ended up in a liar's pocket. She stepped inside, looked around, and her knees buckled. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. I don't know how to undo what I did. I knelt next to her. Held her. Looked her dead in the eyes. You don't have to undo it, I said. You just have to understand it. You sold the dress. Not the memories. You gave up the pearls. Not the love. You got tricked. But you didn't stop being you. The real you, the brave one, she's still here. And she came back. Her tears were silent. Not the kind that beg for pity, the kind that come from truth finally being heard. We spent hours sitting on her bedroom floor. She showed me what was left, a few old journals, a broken locket, a handful of Polaroids from when she was 8. I didn't sell these, she said. I couldn't. They reminded me of you. That hit me harder than the midnight call ever did. Because even in her rebellion, even when she said bye, Dad, some part of her still clung to me. Like a lighthouse on the edge of a dark, dangerous shore. The next morning, I woke up early. Didn't tell her where I was going. I just made coffee, wrote a note, and headed out. 3 stops. First, the pawn shop. I bought back the locket and the old coin box, they'd already melted down the pearls. The guy didn't even flinch. Happens all the time. Girls come in here starry-eyed, leave broken. You'd be surprised how many dads show up afterward. Second, her friend's place. The one who tried to warn her but got shut out. I told her everything. She cried. Then smiled. Then hugged me like I'd just rescued her sister from drowning. Third, the dress shop. Not to buy a new gown, but to take the receipt from what she sold, and have them stitch a new piece of fabric from the exact pattern. The same neckline. The same embroidery. Just not white. I told them, make it pale gold. She doesn't need a wedding dress. She needs a warrior's robe. Something to remind her that what she went through didn't ruin her, it revealed her. When I got home, she was sitting on the porch, wearing one of my old sweatshirts, legs tucked up under her chin like she used to as a kid. She saw the bags in my hand. The small box. The envelope. I don't deserve this, she said, eyes already wet. I sat beside her. You don't earn love, Sophia. You return to it. That's all. She opened the box. The coin collection. She gasped. Then the envelope, the invoice for the dress remake. She didn't say a word. Just cried. Then hugged me tighter than she did on her first day of kindergarten. And that's when I realized. I didn't lose my daughter. I just had to wait for her to come home. You can survive heartbreak. You can survive betrayal. But surviving judgment, surviving the looks, the whispers, the messages that don't even pretend to be subtle, that's the real fire. It started with a comment on Facebook. Some distant cousin had heard a version of the story. You know the kind. Someone knows someone who saw her crying at the pawn shop. Did you hear Sophia ran off with a con artist? Sold everything her dad gave her. SMH. Some girls never learn. 3 hours later, it was all over the family group chat. By dinner, her old co-workers were texting her, just checking in, messages laced with pity disguised as concern. And by the next morning, her ex-best friend, the one who stopped talking to her after she dropped out of grad school, posted a cryptic story. Funny how people want to play house when they never knew how to build one. Sophia saw it all. She sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, frozen. Then suddenly, she slammed it down so hard my coffee jumped. I can't do this, Dad. I can't walk around town with everyone looking at me like I'm stupid. Like I asked to be fooled. Like I deserved it. I didn't sugarcoat it. They're not looking at you, Sophia. They're projecting themselves. Because deep down, everyone has fallen for the wrong person. You just got caught doing it loud. She stared at me. Silent. Then she stood up. And said the words that made me realize she wasn't broken anymore, just bruised. Then let me be loud again. But this time, on purpose. We went down to her old cafe job. The one she quit when Troy convinced her she deserved better. The owner, a woman named Karen with a sharp tongue and a soft heart, looked stunned when Sophia walked in. Didn't expect to see you again, she said. I didn't expect to come back, Sophia answered. But I was wrong then. About a lot of things. Karen folded her arms. You coming here for pity? Sophia didn't flinch. No. I'm coming here for hours. I need work. I need structure. I need something that doesn't pretend love is a fantasy with no consequences. Karen nodded. Slowly. Good answer. Start Monday. As we walked out, I glanced sideways at her. You sure about this? She smiled, a tired, but real smile. Yeah. I think it's time I stop hiding from the version of myself I used to be proud of. That night, she posted her own story. No cryptic quotes. No poor me post. Just a photo of the locket I bought back, and a caption that silenced every whisper with truth. Yes, I got fooled. Yes, I sold things I'll never get back. But I also found out that shame doesn't survive where honesty lives. I'm not broken, I'm rebuilding. And if you've ever loved the wrong person, you're not alone. Just don't let it cost you. It went viral. But not for the reasons people expected. People didn't drag her, they lifted her. Old friends messaged her with apologies. Strangers said they'd been through the same thing. Even one of Troy's other victims reached out and said, because of you, I filed a report. Sophia read it all. Every comment. And I watched my daughter, the same girl who once clung to my leg at the dentist, rise. Not back to who she used to be, but into someone stronger. Wiser. Someone who now knew how to fight and still choose love anyway. A month passed. Sophia kept her head down and her spirit up. She worked shifts at the cafe, took long walks in the mornings, and came home smelling like coffee and resolve. We didn't talk about Troy anymore, not because we were pretending, but because some fires die quietly, not with sirens, but with silence. But I could still see the scar. Every time she looked at her bare hand where the fake engagement ring used to sit. Every time a wedding commercial came on TV and she looked away. Every time she smiled, but her eyes didn't. And I knew. The world might have forgiven her. Her friends might have come back. But she still hadn't forgiven herself. So I did something. Something I never thought I'd do again. I walked into a jewelry store. Same one where I bought her mother's ring, 30 years ago. The clerk asked who it was for. I said, my daughter. He smiled. Getting married? I shook my head. Coming home. He didn't understand, but that's okay. Some stories aren't for strangers to get. Some moments are just for blood and history. I picked out a ring. Simple. Silver. A small emerald in the middle, her birthstone. No diamonds. No glitter. Just truth wrapped in metal. That night, I found her on the porch again. Same sweatshirt. Same distant look. I sat beside her, handed her the little velvet box. She hesitated. Dad. I don't think I'm ready. I nodded. It's not that kind of ring. She opened it. Her breath caught. I could see the tears before they even fell. I don't deserve this, she whispered. Just like the last time. And I gave her the same answer. You don't earn love, Sophia. You return to it. She held the ring like it weighed more than it looked. What's it mean? She asked. I smiled. It means you don't need a man to put a ring on you to know your worth. You don't need a wedding to be complete. You don't need someone else's last name to prove you matter. She looked at me. Then I added, softer this time. You need to remember who you are. This ring? It's not from a lover. It's from the man who never left. The one who'll always be the first to show up and the last to give up. She put it on her right hand. Not her left. And suddenly, something in her face shifted. Not sadness. Not guilt. But peace. For the first time since that midnight call, I saw her. My Sophia. Not scared. Not ashamed. Just present. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Thank you, she said. For everything. For not making me disappear. I looked up at the stars. You were never gone. Just lost for a little while. Happens to all of us. She laughed a soft, real laugh. I'm still scared, she said. So was I. Every day I raised you alone. But fear doesn't get the last word. Love does. That was the last ring I ever bought. Not for a proposal. Not for a ceremony. But for a promise. That no matter what this world throws at us, we don't stop loving. We don't stop showing up. We don't stop believing that the comeback is always louder than the mistake. If you're a father, a daughter, or someone who's ever felt like their biggest regret defined them, share this story. Let them know that broken doesn't mean finished. And love, when it's real, always finds a way home. Thank you for listening.